What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the PS5 career mode. This is episode number 13. And we start today's episode off with a brand new season with Queen's Park Rangers as we head to the Premier League after our successive championship playoff campaign, beating Norwich in the semi-finals convincingly and then coming from behind to beat Neil Harris's Cardiff at Wembley to book our place in the top flight for season 2. To start today's episode off though, what we're doing is giving two contracts to two of our players that the deals come at the end of the year. Those are Charlie Owens and Duke McKenna as well. Two youngsters didn't get too much game time last season, but impressive the game time they did get. And also I offered Tom Heaton a contract as well, as the Aston Villa goalkeeper was out of contract at the end of the season at Villa Park. And I felt if we're going to the Premier League, we'll need some Premier League experience. And Heaton's still a very good goalkeeper in his mid-30s right now. 15 grand a week's not too bad either. 1 year deal. He'll be with us to steady the ship in our first season in the top flight. Regardless, one brief thing I want to point out here though is that once again the league table was flipped. Do you remember in the last episode, towards the end of the episode, I talked about the two league tables we got shown for the end of Premier League campaign? Once again, they flipped. So the teams that went down were in fact Fulham, Aston Villa and Sheffield United, and the team that won the title were indeed Chelsea. So again, the league tables totally flipped, and that was the official final league table of the Premier League in Season 1 in this career mode. So yeah, Season 2 is here, super excited for it. You saw the email we got there from the chairman saying they're excited for the future, and whilst it will be difficult to stay in the Premier League this year, there's no doubt about that, we are the bookies' favourites to go down by quite some distance. They still believe we got what it takes, and I do as well. I know it's going to be super difficult, it's going to be very, very tough indeed, but I still think we can stay up. I mean, there are tons of teams in Premier League history that have gone up, and everyone has said, even before they've given them a chance, that they're definitely going down. You know, the likes of Huddersfield Town, for example, people thought they were just going to get relegated by Christmas, and they stayed up in the first season. You know, way back in the day, Stoke City, people thought they had no chance whatsoever due to the long throw heroics of Rory Delap. They managed to survive. You know, there are several teams that have gone up and been, you know, written off right away, but still managed to survive. But for us, we know it's going to be really difficult. We've got a really poor team. It's the worst in the league, and the budget is quite small as well. There's around 26 million to play with, and whilst it's a lot more than we had last season, let's be honest here, in the Premier League, that's not a lot indeed. So as for the transfer policy the board have given us this season, it's no surprise they're prioritising the cash. Keep a tight grip on the wage structure and avoid high contracts. Look for good value for money deals and don't spend way over the valuation of the player. And keep the core together and don't cash in on our promotion winning stars. That's the transfer policy the board have given to us for this season. And it's not a surprise either, because the players we've got right here that led us to the Premier League, I feel like we want to develop a core with them as the years go on and not sell too many of them as the seasons go by. So I don't want to cash in on any of them, and of course due to the lack of money we've been given, it's not a surprise the board say we want good value for money deals and not put players on high contracts. As for our on the pitch objectives, we want to stay tight defensively like we were last season, but try and keep the ball more. Last season we got dominated in possession in the majority of our games, and also make the Kind Prince Foundation Stadium a fortress as well, and try not to lose any more than 5 league games all season long. You know, any team that gets promoted to the Premier League will tell you this: in order to survive in the Premier League, one of the most important things you can have is your home crowd on your side and a really supportive fan base. So we need to make West London a really, really tough place for teams to come and try and make the Kind Prince Foundation Stadium a fortress this season. If we can do that, we give ourselves a chance to stay in the Premier League. The possession objective is also going to be really hard as well, because against the AI on Legendary or Ultimate in FIFA nowadays, they keep holding the ball so well, and it's really hard to have a lot of possession in your favour, so that's going to be tough to do, but the board have asked me to do it, so we'll do our best to make those adjustments on the pitch. As for players with their deals coming in the year, as you can see, there's quite a few players here. Adoma and Heaton will be retiring, but Dominic Bull, Bright Osei Samuel, Omar Richards and Barbet are the most important and noteworthy players that they're contract up come the end of the year. You know, Bright Osei Samuel will get a new contract, no doubt about that, plus Richards, and yeah, probably Barbet as well after getting into the team of the season last year too. But also, I found this really interesting as well. Now, for those that have played career mode for a while, you'll be very pleased to see this if you haven't seen it yourselves. In previous versions of career mode, players would never get released. As you see my transfer list here, Joe Lumley, Dylan Barnes, Macaulay Bonne, Shadipo and Smith as well. Players would never get released, but now there's a ton of players in the free agents pool. That's really, really cool, and more on that in a minute. And as for our youth academy objectives this season from the board as well, keep one scout in England as we did last year, looking for those homegrown talents. Hire a top-class youth scout, which is something we failed to do last season. Sorry, board. And also ask your location advisors, aka you guys, to suggest a country to scout for this year. So yes, in today's comment section, if you can please guys, tell me where we should send our second scout out, because in order to please the board, I had to hire a top-class youth scout. First thing I did, hired the best one available, 5-star, because again, with the lack of money we've got, I think the best players we can get this season are probably through the academy. We're going to send him to England for 9 months like the board want, to try and get the best youth prospects available for us. But in the comment section down below today guys, where are we sending our other youth scout out? I need your help. Comment a country, tell me why we should scout that nation, and in the next episode we'll look to send that youth scout out. So yeah, there's your task. I don't know why it took me a while to say that. There's your task. Comment down below, what country are we sending our second youth scout out to this season? And I'll pick some comments, and you know, in the next episode I'll pick some comments, and I'll like comment like 3 or 4 of the countries you guys have given me, and I'll let you guys vote via a series of thumbs up. How about that? But regardless, it's so bloody annoying now. I can't just set polls on YouTube. It's really frustrating. I've got to be more creative. But regarding to here, I did decide to give free contracts out to 3 of the players to add the deals come the end of the year. Bright will say Samuel took over from captaincy last year from Jeff Cameron. He gets a new 4-year deal on $26.5 a week. Omar Richards also signs a new 4-year deal on $29.5 a week. He was sublime last year in his debut season for us. And also Yohan Barbet as well. I know he's 28 years old, and I know last season I said I wasn't too convinced by both of my starting centre-backs, he and Dickey, but he did get into the team of the season, and every clean sheet we got last season had him in the back line, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I think it does. Yeah, every single clean sheet we picked up last season was with him starting as part of that line. So he also signed a new 2-year extension, and he's now got a 3-year deal that will take him up to 31 years old, and after that we'll look to let him go unless he's still playing at a very high level. But also Charles Bull wanted a new contract as well, and of course I was going to give him one. He still had a couple of years left on his deal, but on, what was it, 650 quid a week? Yeah, I think he deserved a little bit more money than that. It's not a massive wage increase because he still has a lot to prove despite his fantastic debut year in professional football, but a 3-year extension, $2.5 a week, that's a lot of money for a teenager. For a teenager to be on 10 grand a month, that's a lot of money, so he'll be happy with that. And yeah, I'm sure he'll be pleased to know his future is here at the Kyan Prince Foundation Stadium. I certainly am. But after those contracts got given out there, and also hiring the scout as well, we're now down to under £20 million for our debut season here in the Premier League. Now, we know it's going to be tough to survive anyway in the Premier League, but with such a little transfer budget, it's going to be even more difficult indeed. Of course, there are some players we'll be looking to sell, though let's be honest here, we won't get much money for them, including Paul Smith, who goes for 1.2 mil. That's only an extra 800,000 going into our transfer budget. And again, we will be keeping the core here, so we have bids here for Chris Willock, Jed Spence, and also Liam Kelly, who last year only missed out on the Golden Glove due to reasons I don't know. But of course, we'll be rejecting those bids. So in order to get good value for money deals like the board want, I think we have to look at the free agents pool and look to sign some players here. Now, there are a ton of players in the free agents pool now, and I have to say, you know, I always am very fair with VA. I'll give props to them when they deserve it. They've got a lot more players in the free agents pool now, and players do now finally get released from their clubs, as opposed to always signing a new rolling contract. But unfortunately, I won't be getting Charlie Austin. I really would have liked to have brought him back to the Kyan Prince Foundation Stadium, but sadly he moved on before I had the chance to snap him up. There were quite a few centre-backs I noticed we could sign, and one was Stefan Bell. He is a former German youth player. He spent all his career playing for FSV Mainz, I think it is, and we agreed a 2-year deal, I think it was, with Bell, as he'll be joining here at the Kyan Prince Foundation Stadium on a free transfer. And also Melairo Bogarde, I think that's how you pronounce that. He's a Dutch centre-half. This guy is a really decent young teenage talent, only 62 rated, but 19 years old. Seems like he has quite a high ceiling, so release from his club, we snap him up on a free transfer, and those two lads are in on free transfer to start the season off. So Stefan Bell, an experienced German centre-back, and also Bogarde, 10 years younger, but with hopefully some pretty decent potential. And again, we're going to have to do this sort of thing, man. I mean, seriously, that was me last season. So we rejected this bid here for Chris Willock, and also another for Liam Kelly as well. We do accept this one from Macaulay Bonne. There was me last season saying, you know, with Aston Villa going down, oh, do you know who I'd like to bring to the Kyan Prince Foundation Stadium? Jack Grealish. Oh yeah, I'd love Jack Grealish here in West London. What are we going to offer Aston Villa for Jack Grealish? What, £12 on a Mars bar? Like, it's not going to work. We've got no money whatsoever to bring in some class players. I had like a list of players I thought could be possible signings as Macaulay Bond does go here. The Zimbabwean is out. That we could possibly get from those relegation clubs. I can't afford any of them with £20 million. We ain't got any money. So, yeah, we've got to be very careful with the pennies here. We also saw a bid for Dylan Barnes, which we accepted as well, as Macaulay Bond did agree to leave as well. And also, Brian Brobby was in the free agents as well. Now, I know about this guy, so I had to snap him up as quickly as I possibly could. The Ajax striker released in the summer for God knows why, because he's got a great goal-to-game ratio playing for young Ajax, their reserve team, and also the Netherlands youth teams as well. So he's going to join the centre-back here as a great young Dutch talent coming in, and hopefully he'll prove to be a heck of a pickup. Already 90 strength at 19 years old, 72 finishing, 72 heading, really high jumping stat as well. That's an absolutely fantastic deal there, and I'm really pleased to have him in. So that's a brilliant snap up on a free transfer as he joins us here at the Kyle Prince Foundation Stadium. We did have a huge bid here for Omar Richards as well. Everton putting in with a 27.4 mil for our former Reading left back, and he was sublime last year. Probably one of our unsung heroes as Dylan Barnes goes here to Boa Vista. I was considering accepting it or possibly trying to negotiate up to around 30 to 35 million. That would give us a lot of money to play with, over 50 million combined, and then we'd be feeling a little bit better about ourselves in the transfer market. But the board did say keep the core of the promotion winning squad here, so instead I decided to reject it. What's more important to me is keeping the band together, keeping the team together, the core together for a long period of time, and gelling as a unit and not cashing in on our star players. So I'm going with what the board said there. Keep the players together. Omar stays here as we reject that bid there from Carlo Ancelotti. Regardless, in order to bring in some good players, like we said earlier there, we need free agents, possible loans, and also good value for money deals as well, with players either on the transfer list or in the final years of their contract. Lewis Baker at Chelsea I thought would be a really interesting signing here at the Kyle Prince Foundation Stadium. Wouldn't need to move home to come and play for us, playing in West London right now. And we call him Lewis Loan Baker because he has had so many loan deals, it's unbelievable. His contract's up coming the end of the year. We managed to sign him on an undervaluation deal of £2 million, and I said to Lewis Baker when I met with him and his agent, listen, you can come and play for us and sign a 4-year deal. You'll have a home here, you won't be getting constantly loaned out, but you're going to have to take a pay cut. I wasn't going to budge on 29 grand a week. That was my absolute maximum I give him as a contract. He's on 45 grand a week right now, and I said absolutely no way, Lewis. Either come down to 29 grand a week maximum, or you're not coming to the Kyle Prince Foundation Stadium. He and his agent took a day to think about it. They slept on it, and then Lewis said, you know what, I'm sick of getting loaned out from Chelsea. I want a home, and he's going to get it here as well. It's a bit of a gamble, I must admit here, because again, Baker, there's a reason why Chelsea have not been playing him and constantly been loaning him out. As we see here, Jude Fry from our first month's worth of scouting, and Charlie Foster as well. Oh, it feels good to have a five-star scout. We can expect those sort of results now at the first 2 players into our academy for the new season. But yeah, Lewis Baker has been constantly getting loaned out, and I think Baker's still a good player. He's 26 years old, so he's entering his prime right now, 72 rated. He can play deeper, further forward, or right through the heart of the pitch, and he's got some decent stats. You know, he's got a 5-star weak foot, some very decent technical stats as well, and I think playing alongside a physical based player in Andy Rinomhota, who he's played alongside before when he was on loan at Reading a couple of seasons ago, I think he'll do pretty well there as a partnership alongside Andy, as 2 former Royals will partner alongside one another in the midfield. So we've got a physical based player and a technical based player together, and I think again Lewis Baker for £2 million, taking that big pay cut as well, he's going to have a home here and a manager that believes in him and a club that will get behind him. Let's hope he proves to be worth the transfer fee. And again, you know, Lewis Baker was not my #1 target heading into the season, but due to the lack of money we've got, we haven't really got a choice. Regardless, Joe Lumley got sold. He came back from loan last season, and of course, due to Liam Kelly's fantastic form last season, was never going to take over as our starting goalkeeper this year. And of course, the arrival of Tom Heaton, he's going to be 3rd choice goalkeeper. We don't need 3 goalkeepers here, that's for sure, because goalkeepers rarely get injured on FIFA Career. I might possibly promote one from the academy for realism's sake. And also, we sold Shadipo as well, who's out of contract coming the end of the season as well. So we've got just under £20 million to play with between now and the end of the transfer window after those 2 sales there. I really don't know what players we can bring in between now and transfer deadline day that can give us the quality we need to surely stay up, but Again, we're going to look for good value for money deals and stay true to what the board have told us in the transfer policy. Don't cash in on our promotion winning stars, even though the likes of Omar and the likes of Bright and possibly Elias as well can get us some good money. No, keep the core here and make sure we don't spend over the odds on any players we look to bring in. So for the first game of the season, we would welcome Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Lots of pressure on Arteta this season in real life. Right now, people think he's walking on thin ice, and I'm not surprised by that after a very poor start to the season for Arsenal this year. Hopefully he sorts it out, because I would like to see him succeed there at the Emirates Stadium. But to take on Arsenal for the first game of the Premier League season, expecting to lose this game and get off to a poor start, but I still believe there was a chance we get ourselves a point. So in the first game of the season, I thought, right, if we can get ourselves a draw, we'll call it a successful result. And to be fair, we started off quite strong as well. First chance falling to us there, Elias Scher's shot blocked and cleared away by the Gunners. As a Moroccan player of the season last year, had a good chance to make it 1-0. And 10 minutes later, as we were playing some really good football in the first half here, Jed Spence finds Charlie Kelman. Lovely flick to Elias Scher. Great football. Oh my word, what a moment that would have been. Lewis Baker, first chance for him, goes for goal. Great stop by Bernd Leno with his feet and denies him a debut goal. So Baker was looking good in the first half as well. Some good passing and looking pretty comfortable on the ball. But right before the break, we were still tied at 0-0. Jed Spence switches off for just a split second. And in the top flight, you can't afford to do that. The right back caught napping. Gabriel Martinelli runs in behind the back of him, goes through one-on-one, and for Liam Kelly as well. One of the goalkeepers of the season last year in the Championship, joint most amount of clean sheets. I don't know why on earth he went to ground so early there. It was kind of comical, really. He seemed to dive on the floor before the shot was even taken. Regardless, Martinelli drills it past the Scot and into the far corner. 1-0 Arsenal, and that is the sign of how tough it's going to be in the Premier League to keep clean sheets. A lapse in concentration just for a split second, and you let a man in behind. So Arsenal going front right before the break. But in the second half, though, I still felt confident we could get ourselves a goal and get back on level terms. We played well in the first half. I didn't lay into the boys in the dressing room at half time. So keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure we'll find a leveler. And 21 minutes after the restart, we did just that. Some nice football being played once again, like we did play all throughout the game, really. Stepping in from the left-hand side, the ball into the middle. Kelman flicks it through, and who's there to score our first goal in the Premier League era? Well, I made him captain last season. I kept saying he's temporary captain. I think there's a good chance he's going to take the armband permanently. Bright Osei Samuel, one of our players of the season last year, getting that big contract extension in the summer and marking it with a debut goal in the Premier League. Puts us back on level terms, and that was how the game would finish as well. Final score on match day 1 in the Premier League, a very credible draw against Arsenal. And again, for a team that is so heavily built on defence, that was our identity last season, being the best defensive team in the Championship. To limit Arsenal to only one shot in the game, and that was the goal they scored from as well, that shows you what we'll need to do this season if we are to stay up. We still haven't signed a new striker. We still haven't got a guy in here that's going to be the guy that could possibly bang in the goals to keep us up. I think no, if we are going to stay up this season, we'll need to be rock solid defensively. That was today's episode of the PS5 Career Mode, guys. So big thank you for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day. Don't forget to comment what nation we should scout with our youth scout, and I'll see you for the next episode of the PS5 Career Mode very soon.